Hello there, thank you for watching a Generation Gap Reacts video. We are listening to a song called A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash.
I'm not sure if I know this song.
I definitely have never heard this song before. I feel like I would know with the title, A Boy Named Sue, if I've heard
Johnny Cash.
that I've heard the song, so I have not.
I may have, because many times the title doesn't ring a bell until I listen to it, and then it's okay. But I don't think I've heard this one.
All right, well then it'll be new for both of us. So ready to get started?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me. Just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze. Now, I don't blame him 'cause he run and hid, but the meanest thing that he ever did was before he left, he went and named me Sue. Well, he must have thought that it was quite a joke, and it got a lot of laughs from lots of folks. It seems I had to fight my whole life through. Some gal would giggle and I'd get red, and some guy'd laugh and I'd bust his head. I'll tell you, life ain't easy for a boy named Sue. Well, I grew up quick and I grew up mean. My fists got hard, my wits got keen. Roamed from town to hide my shame. But I made me a vow to the moon and stars, I'd search the honky-tonks and bars and kill that man that gave me that awful name. Well, it was Gatlinburg in mid-July, and I'd just hit town and my throat was dry. I thought I'd stop and have myself a brew. At an old saloon on a street of mud, there at a table, dealing stud, sat the dirty mangy dog that named me Sue. Well, I knew that snake was my own sweet dad from a worn-out picture that my mother'd had, and I knew that scar on his cheek and his evil eye. He was big and bent and gray and old, and I looked at him and my blood ran cold, and I said, "My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you gonna die." Yeah, that's what I told him.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting like a song, but this is a story.
A story, a funny story.
A funny story about a boy named Sue, because the only thing that Dad ever left him was naming him Sue. And I loved the line, "Life is hard for a boy named Sue."
I can imagine.
I can imagine. I have some thoughts in my head, some questions, but I know that it totally ruins the point of the story. I mean, because you were like, well, why didn't you just go by a different name? It's like, well, then there wouldn't be a story now, would there? So
that's true.
I also love the subtle buildup. Well, it's not so subtle. The obvious buildup with the instruments and everything as we're getting further and further into the song. I wonder how this is going to play out. Is he going to kill his dad? Or are they going to kiss and make up for some reason?
And have a whiskey or a beer.
Yeah. Finish another bottle of booze together.
Yeah.
Well, I hit him hard right between the eyes, and he went down, but to my surprise, come up with a knife and cut off a piece of my ear. Well, I busted a chair right across his teeth, and we crashed through the wall and into the street, kicking and gouging in the mud and the blood and the beer. I tell you, I fought tougher men, but I really can't remember when. He kicked like a mule and he bit like a crocodile. I heard him laugh and then I heard him cuss, and he went for his gun. I pulled mine first. He stood there looking at me, and I saw him smile. And he said, "Son, this world is rough, and if a man's gonna make it, he's gotta be tough. And I know I wouldn't be there to help you along. So I give you that name, and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die, and it's that name that helped to make you strong." Yeah. He said, "Now you just fought one hell of a fight, and I know you hate me and you got the right to kill me now, and I wouldn't blame you if you do. But you ought to thank me before I die for the gravel in your guts and the spit in your eye, 'cause I'm the son of a bitch that named you Sue." Yeah, well, what could I do? What could I do? I got all choked up and I threw down my gun, called him a pa and he called me a son, and I come away with a different point of view. And I think about him now and then, every time I try and every time I win. And if I ever have a son, I think I'm gonna name him Bill or George, any damn thing but Sue. I still ain't that bad. Yeah.
That was a good one. It was so funny.
I was wondering if they were gonna kiss and make up at the end, and they did. Now he understands his dad's reasoning for naming him Sue, but then I have all these questions in my head, like if Dad just stuck around, he could have taught him to be tough in other ways besides naming him Sue. But then, questions like that ruin the storyline, but that's how my brain works. That's how my brain works. Or why didn't he just change his name? Why didn't he go by his middle name or make up his own name?
Right.
You don't have to go by the name your parents gave you. I'm kind of a perfect example. As we started listening to this song, because I legally changed my name.
Yeah, and I was cool with it.
Yeah, when I was 18, I legally changed my first name. Not like just changed my last name when I got married kind of thing. I legally changed my first name when I turned 18. Sorry, Mom,
Well,
she thought it was beautiful when she named me, but...
Well, I'll tell you the story from my perspective. When you were 17, 18, you came to me very seriously and said that we need to talk. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And so she told me that she hated her name. It wasn't so much she hated her name, but ever since she was a little girl, there was always 10, 20 girls with the same name. In high school, there were 50 girls with the same name. And she wanted to change her name so she could have more of an identity. And I said, go for it. Because I actually had an ugly name that my parents gave me that I hated. And kids in school used to tease me all the time, and I hated it. I hated my name, but it never occurred to me to change my name. Mm-hmm. So when you approached me, I said, go for it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it now when you're 18, because, once you're older, it's harder to change your name because if you have a mortgage and you have bills and you have just a lot of, you've accumulated.
A lot of legal stuff.
You've accumulated all this stuff as an adult. Before you even get a credit card, change your name.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was very surprised by the support because I do think a lot of people, when they name their children, have a reasoning, a message, a story. They know somebody who they're naming their kid after, and there's kind of an emotional connection. Obviously, a parent picks a name for a specific reason. So I was scared that she was going to think I was insulting her. But ultimately, I had to think about myself.
Yes.
And
that's true.
I didn't get to choose my name. So just because it meant something to my mom 18 years ago from the time that I changed it, I'm the one who has to live with it.
It did. The name I gave you didn't really mean anything to me.
You just thought it was pretty.
I just thought it was a pretty name.
Yeah.
That's it.
You and 100 billion other parents the same year that I was born. So,
I found out many years later that was the most popular name within a few years before and a few years after.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah,
and
for females.
When I first heard that name, I've never really heard it before, and I thought it was beautiful. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to name my daughter that. But then, by the time you were born, it was the most popular name.
Yeah, and you just didn't know.
I didn't know.
But you look at the internet now and you can look back at each birth year and see which were the most common names during that year. And so I remember many years later, we Googled it or looked it up on the internet. And sure enough, my given birth name was the number one name for my birth year.
And I remember one of your complaints was if somebody said, "Oh, do you know blah blah blah?"
Which one?
Which blah blah blah?
Gosh, that I'll have
All the time.
PTSD for the rest of my life. Oh, is so-and-so coming? Which one? Oh, have you heard from so-and-so? Which one? For the I will have PTSD for the rest of my life about that. So yeah, I changed my name. So anyways, and a lot of people thought I was weird. I got a lot of judgment, a lot
From the family? Oh, gosh.
From my friends, just people who just didn't understand. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't need anybody to understand. It's my
Or
life.
anyone's permission.
And I don't need anybody's permission. It's my life. It's my name. I have to live with it. And,
And since it happened so long ago, it's nothing anymore. It's nothing.
yeah, because I'm in my 30s now. So it's been a long time since I've changed my name. Anyway, so we kind of went off on a tangent about that.
Gosh,
But
we
as
went down a different road.
We went down a totally different road, but as I was listening to this song, I was like, Johnny Cash, you could have solved all your problems if you just went by a different name. It's okay. You don't have to go by your birth name. If your parents named you something and you have no connection to it, you don't like it, you don't have to. Who cares what other people think? Because most people are going to think you're weird. Most people thought I was weird, crazy. They just could not understand or wrap their brain around why I would legally change my first name. And most older people were like, "You're insulting your mother." And I'm like, my mother's the one who has my support. So
I said go for it.
Don't worry about it.
Do it now.
Anyways, Johnny Cash, you could have prevented a lot of situations in your life if you just went by a different name. But then we wouldn't have a story.
We wouldn't have a song.
We wouldn't have a funny song. So, I'm thinking too literally about it. I'm putting too much of my own situation into that song. But just a funny song.
You can relate to it.
But I can relate. So I think that's why I brought it up, is as I started listening to the song, it's like,
Honestly, I wish that when I was 18, before I developed any history with my name, I wish I would have changed it.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, I would have gotten so much heat though. But I would have just sucked it up and just changed my name.
It's really cute though, because when I told you I wanted to legally change my name, my mom was super supportive and she just immediately started calling me by my chosen name and #1 supporter. And then she told me what you said, that, you understand because you always hated your name and that you wish, looking back, that you did what I did by changing it. And then, so my mom said, so I said, well, what name do you want to go by? And then my mom told me, and then ever since then, that's what we call each other. I introduced my mom as her chosen name, and obviously, she was the very first person to start calling me by my chosen name. And so actually, by me doing that, it inspired you to you didn't legally change your name.
I have too much stuff attached to my name.
But, when you introduce yourself to people, you say, this is my name.
Yes. And now it's been about 10 years.
And now it's really weird when she has to call the bank or something, and she has to say, oh, my name is da-da-da. And I'm like, that's so weird.
It is weird.
I just don't see you as that anymore.
I know.
It just doesn't seem like you. I love your chosen name.
So do I.
But I love how at the end, let's get back to Johnny Cash.
There we go again.
I know. I love how at the end, you think that he's going to say, I want to name my son
Sue.
Not Sue, but Janice or Bertha, Karen or whatever. And he goes, Tom, come on.
Or Bill or whatever.
Bill, George, I don't want to do to my son what my dad did to me. And then also, I have a literal question to his father, that why didn't you just stick around and toughen him up the old-fashioned way by just being a dad?
Yeah. In the present. In his present life.
We're being way too literal.
We are. But it was a funny song. It brings up a lot of conversation.
It does. I really liked it. Johnny has a good voice, and I like the style in this.
The storytelling
qualities of this song.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you call that country rap?
Rap?
Well, I don't know, because he's not really singing. He's kind of talking, singing. I don't know if there's a word for that.
I don't know if it's rap. I know what you're saying. Okay. It's definitely country.
Oh, definitely country.
Kind of folksy country. I don't know what that storytelling, not quite singing, kind of talking, what that's called.
There must be a word for it.
There's gotta be.
Can you let us know?
It's definitely not rap, though.
I was just using that as an example.
Okay. But I get what you're trying to say. Because he's not like singing along with like a melody. He's talking and telling a story.
Well, I love that. I really love that.
Yeah.
Got us laughing.
And still at the end, he's like, Dad, you were terrible naming me Sue. I'm never going to name my son a girl's name just to toughen him up.
Yeah. What was he thinking?
Thanks for that, Dad. So anyways, wow,
we should wrap this up.
Yeah, we should wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you for sticking around to the end. Thank you for watching. Bye.